Hi, in this video I'm going to explain the details on how Nexo's crypto-backed loans work, talk about all the important things that don't get advertised, and then run through some examples and walk through the borrow process on the Nexo app. Just as a disclaimer, the information presented is accurate as of the posting of this video, and as fast as crypto moves, terms are subject to change. As always, nothing in this video is financial advice, and you should always do your own research. Alright, let's get started. So in the Nexo borrow program, I can use my crypto that I've deposited on their app, that could be Bitcoin, Ethereum, to use that as collateral in order to borrow funds in stablecoin or even fiat. Collateral just means that I'm giving something of value to the lender, in this case Nexo, so that they can hold just in case I can't repay my loan or it becomes risky to repay my loan. And here it says that I can start borrowing at 0% APR, and while that is true, that is subject to how many Nexo tokens I'm holding. I'll go through that a little bit more in detail later. Nexo also allows me to earn on my crypto that I've deposited. So for example, if I deposited some Bitcoin on Nexo, then I can earn a certain percentage, say like 5% APR, APY per year. But if I use that Bitcoin as collateral in order to borrow some stablecoin or some fiat, then I can no longer earn on that Bitcoin. The only exception is if I'm borrowing against Nexo tokens. So if I'm using Nexo tokens up as collateral, then I can still earn a percentage on my Nexo tokens. All right, let's take a look at how much I can actually borrow. So if I'm trying to borrow $10,000 in USD, and you can also borrow all these denominations of fiat as well as stablecoin. If I want to borrow $10,000, then I need 0.456 Bitcoin at a 50% LTV. And LTV is the loan to value ratio. I'll explain a little bit more in a second, but if I'm borrowing against different currencies, then these will have different LTVs. So Ethereum is 50%, USDC is 90%, Nexo token is 15%. What is LTV, or loan to value ratio? It is the ratio of the loan value in USD to the collateral value in USD in an asset-backed loan, which is what I'm trying to get if I'm borrowing from Nexo. Let's take this for example. I'm trying to get $5,000 worth of USDC, and I'm using my Bitcoin, which is worth $10,000, as collateral. So if I divide $5,000 by 10,000, that becomes my loan to value ratio, which is 50%. Now keep in mind, LTV can go up and down dynamically depending on what the market price of the collateral is. So if, for example, if Bitcoin goes up in value, then my LTV is going to go down. So a high LTV means that my loan is at risk of liquidation. And liquidation just means the lender sells my collateral in order to pay back my loan. And this happens when the collateral value goes down. And similarly, a low LTV is at low risk of liquidation, which means I'm not at risk of my lender selling my collateral in order to pay back the loan. And this happens when the collateral value goes up. So if I'm looking at this graphic here, as the Bitcoin price increases, the loan to value ratio decreases. And similarly, as the Bitcoin price drops, the LTV increases. I just want to talk a little bit more about liquidation. So what happens on Nexo if I'm borrowing money using an asset-backed loan is, first, if my LTV gets kind of high, then they will send a notification to me to repay some of the loan or add more collateral. In the previous example, I can pay back some USDC, or I can put more Bitcoin up as collateral. If I still haven't done that and my LTV continues to go up until some threshold, which they've designated as 83.33%. So that is the high LTV that prompts them to automatically move assets to add collateral, if any. So if I have other assets in there like Ethereum or Litecoin, whatever, then those will be moved to use as collateral for my asset-backed loan. If I don't have any assets and they need to add collateral, then the next step would be for them to automatically sell the collateral that I put up, in this case the Bitcoin, in order to repay the loan. And I don't want this to happen because then I'm just left with a smaller amount of Bitcoin. Really quickly, I want to talk about the loan rates. Basically, how much interest am I charged for taking out a loan? And this depends on the loyalty tier. Different loyalty tiers correspond to how many Nexo tokens I hold in my account. So for example, in the base loyalty tier, if I hold up to 1% of my portfolio in Nexo tokens, then this is the interest rate that is charged on my loans, 13.9%, regardless of the LTV. As I own more and more Nexo tokens, I move up in the tiers. For silver, that means it's 1% to 5% of my portfolio is held in Nexo tokens, and that decreases my interest rate down 1% to 12.9%. If I hold more than 10% of my portfolio in Nexo tokens, then my interest rate can be decreased down to 6.9% for a high loan to value ratio loan, or I can borrow at 0% if I have a low loan to value ratio, and this threshold I believe is 20%. So when do I have to repay my loan? Here it says I can repay my loan at any time using crypto and stablecoins. So that means the interest is not due based on any type of schedule, but the interest is added to my outstanding balance daily. So if I'm not repaying my loan to value ratio will naturally go up if my collateral is staying the same value. Just to be safe, I think it's wise to pay off interest as I monitor the value of the collateral. So just to summarize, I can repay my loan at any time as long as my LTV is in a safe range. Now there is a small note here that says if loans are repaid within 30 days, regardless of what tier I'm in, I will be charged 13.9%, which is the base interest rate, for the remainder of the 30-day period. For example, if I repay my loan at 20 days, then the 10 days left, I'm subject to the 13.9% interest rate on the principal. All right, let's go through some examples to see how some scenarios can play out when I'm borrowing from Nexo. So in this scenario, I'm borrowing using Bitcoin, and my $10,000 worth of Bitcoin is held in my Nexo Earn wallet. I'm at the base loyalty level, which means I'm charged 13.9% interest on my principal. Let's assume at day one, I have borrowed $1,500 worth of USDC or fiat, and the collateral value of my Bitcoin is $10,000. That results in an LTV of 15%, and at this point, I have accrued no interest, so I don't owe any interest. So at day 30, let's assume that I haven't borrowed any more funds, but Bitcoin has dropped in price, and now my collateral is worth $7,000. I also accrued interest in this 30 days, worth about $17.23. So now my loan amount would be $1,500 plus the interest that I owe. That results in an LTV of 21.6%. Now at day 31, let's say I decided to pay off $500 worth of my principal, and now I only owe $1,000. Bitcoin has remained the same, and accounting for the 31st day of interest accrual, now my loan to value has decreased to 14.5%. Now another 30 days have passed. Now my loan balance is still $1,000, and Bitcoin hasn't changed in price. But since I haven't paid anything back, I'm still accruing interest. And the interest that I'm accruing is based on the $1,000 now, not based on the $1,500. So from day 31 to day 60, I've accrued about $11 to $12 in interest. So for this second scenario, I'm going to go through how liquidation can happen when I've borrowed money from Nexo. Let's assume that I'm using the same collateral as the previous example, so $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, and I'm still at the base loyalty level, being charged 13.9% on my principal. So on day one, I borrow $5,000 worth of stablecoin or fiat, and my collateral value is $10,000. This means that my LTV is 50%, and that's the max that I can take out based on collateral using Bitcoin. 30 days have passed, and I haven't paid back or taken out any more loan, but my Bitcoin collateral has dropped in value to $7,000. At the same time, I've also accrued $57.44 worth of interest. If I add that with my original principal balance, then that results in an LTV of around 72.2%. So at this point, the LTV is getting kind of high, and Nexo will start sending me notifications through text or email saying that I should either repay some of the loan or add collateral in order to increase that LTV value. Let's say that I don't do that. So at day 60, I still have the same principal amount that I owe, but my Bitcoin value has dropped to $6,100. Didn't pay anything back, so I'm still accruing interest, and at this point I owe $115 worth of interest. So that, along with my principal, results in an LTV of 83.8%, which is higher than the threshold that Nexo uses in order to automatically add collateral into my asset-backed loan. If I don't have any, then what happens is Nexo ends up selling my Bitcoin to repay the loan. So it will sell enough Bitcoin to cover transaction costs as well as what I owe in interest and the original principal. and then I get back what is left. So I don't typically want this to happen. It's wise to either repay the loan or add collateral once I get those notifications. All right, in this last scenario, let's take a look at how early loan repayment can work when I'm on the platinum loyalty level. So let's assume that I have $10,000 worth of Nexo token in my wallet and I have no other type of assets in my wallet. That means I'm at the platinum loyalty level and I'm able to borrow at 0% interest. Let's assume at day one, I borrow $1,500 and I'm using all of my Nexo tokens as collateral, and that is valued at $10,000. When I'm initially borrowing, the max LTV is 15% if I'm using Nexo tokens as collateral. If I'm using Bitcoin, then that max LTV is 50%. So I'm able to borrow the same amount using less collateral. Okay, so 10 days have passed, and let's assume that my collateral value has not changed. Because I'm at the platinum loyalty level and my LTV is currently below 20%, which is the threshold to go from 0% charged interest to 6.9 on the platinum loyalty level, I'm not being charged any interest. 5 days have passed and my collateral value has dropped to $7,000. This means that my LTV has increased to 21.4%, and that's over the 20% threshold that allows me to borrow at 0% interest. Then that means moving forward, I will be charged 6.9% on my principal if my LTV doesn't go back below 20%. Now let's say at day 20, I want to repay my loan, and from day 15 to day 20, I've accrued some interest at 6.9% because of my LTV value, and that results in a $1.42 interest accrual. And because I'm repaying my loan early before a 30-day period has passed, I owe the remaining days that are left in that 30-day period, which is 10 days. I owe that interest on the principal at 13.9%. And that's just the rule that Nexo has in order to prevent people from misusing loans. So in addition to the $1,500 that I owed already, I also have to pay this extra about $7. Let's walk through the Nexo mobile app to see how I can take out a loan. I'm on the main dashboard of the app, and the credit line here is the maximum that I can borrow. As my crypto value held in my wallet that's not locked up increases and decreases, so does the credit line amount. The available credit is how much left I can borrow from the credit line. Right now, I haven't borrowed anything, so I can borrow the maximum amount from the credit line. Borrowing funds is as simple and fast as tapping the borrow button. I can receive the funds in USDC, USDT, or fiat transferred to my bank. If I choose a stablecoin, the funds are immediately available, but if I choose fiat, it will take anywhere from 1 to 5 business days. I'm going to borrow 50 USDC. I check that I agree with the terms, tap withdraw, and then authenticate myself to complete the transaction. After borrowing the funds, I can see that my available credit has decreased to about $26. This means I can only borrow $26 more. If I go to my wallet and refresh the view, I can see my funds in USDC. If I click into my transactions, I see that this transaction was a credit granting top-up and indicates that this is an outstanding loan of about $50. Back on the dashboard, if I scroll all the way down, I see a note that says if the value of my collateral assets reaches $59.98, then Nexo will start paying off my loan automatically. This means my LTV ratio has gone up and is close to or at the 83.3% threshold. What sucks is that the LTV ratio isn't shown anywhere on the mobile app or in the web app. Nexo only has small notes in places telling me when I potentially need to decrease my LTV or when I'm at risk of liquidation. If I want to repay my loan, I just have to tap the repay button and select from any asset in my account. When I input the amount to repay, Nexo will tell me any interest or any additional interest I have to repay. In this case, since I'm repaying my loan before the 30-day period has passed, I have to pay 58 cents in additional interest. Alright, that's it for Nexo loans. If you're interested in getting the Nexo rewards card, please check out how that works with this card above, and I'll leave a link in the description for a sign up link. If this video helped you understand a little bit more about how Nexo loans work, let me know in the comments below. Please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to let me know that you enjoyed this video. As always, stay safe, and thanks for watching.